From FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio, this is The Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Handicapping all the football action, here's Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
Hello, good people. Welcome to The Odds Couple Pro Bowl week.
Hype week.
Woo! Welcome to the show. Rob Fischer, Lang Whitaker with you here today. Super Bowl, Live is ready and set. That would be 54 for those not knowing the Roman numerals. Super Bowl 54. Hello, Lang.
What's up?
Nothing, man.
You only live once.
That's right. You live once. Good hats for this year's Super Bowl.
I got to get a nugget for you.
Oh, yeah?
I told Rosa we could call it a fish nugget in a way. First time in Super Bowl history, two teams with red as the primary color going against each other. How you like that?
Interesting. I'm going to have to look up the nugget of when these teams play other teams that wear red. Yeah, that's always good. We'll have all those nuggets and trends and all the good stuff next week.
Yeah.
When we get set for the Super Bowl.
This week's really just about getting hype.
This week's about getting hype, yeah. The teams are set. Roser's hype.
I told Roser we should, instead of like,
let's go!
instead of NFL team helmets, because it's so hard to tell like year to year who's going to be good.
Right.
Then maybe we should get like Rob Lowe, get one of those just NFL helmets to put here.
Just the NFL logo?
And then you came in that jacket, which is basically the NFL jacket.
Yeah. This is the first time I think I've worn it in 17 years.
Yeah,
Had it 17 years.
In fact, see, this is how difficult. So the 49ers, we were 4-12 last year, and now we're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. You'll probably be 4-12 next year.
Not the first time that's happened before. It's happened two other times,
including the team that I covered in St. Louis.
The St. Louis Rams did it in '99, and they won the Super Bowl against the Tennessee Titans. And then the Cincinnati Bengals did it in 1988. And I believe lost to the 49ers.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the Super Bowl. We got a couple of guests on the program today. Soren Petro is going to join us from WHB in Kansas City. He covers the Chiefs. Get his thoughts on the Chiefs making it back to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. Whew, been a long time for those Chiefs fans, but they're back.
They're back.
Yeah. And,
does this mean we're having a 49ers guest next week?
Sure.
We have one every week.
We just have you, yeah.
Talking about.
Also, we'll get Chris Vernon's first take on the Super Bowl. He's going to join us for a couple minutes as well. Nice. So look forward to visiting with him. But the AFC Championship last week, Kansas City, they do advance to the Super Bowl. They knock off Tennessee 35-24. Yet things started exactly like Tennessee wants it to start. 10-0 lead in the first quarter, and you're thinking, here we go again.
The Chiefs now have done it a couple of weeks in a row where they bounce back fast. It looks like, they're done, and then they come roaring out of the gate. I've walked downstairs the other day, and on the TV, they were debating on one of the sports networks, is Patrick Mahomes great, or are the pieces around him great? And I thought, well, why can't it be both?
Yeah.
Because it seems like both. It seems like that whole team is just stacked, especially on offense.
Patrick Mahomes is special.
He is.
I mean, it was funny because I was watching the game and thought about tweeting it, but I was like, I don't want to be the hyperbole guy. Right now is the greatest of all time. But I was thinking he does remind me a lot of Ja. And somebody then tweeted out later in the day about Ja being that sort of talent. Yeah. Just his vision of the field, his ability to do the unthinkable at times as well. And I think he's a special quarterback. And what makes him special, too, is at his young age, how much of a leader he is on that team. He's in control of that
24 years old. Yeah. I mean, he's unbelievable. And athletically, he's probably the best athlete on the field.
Yeah.
And, can throw the ball 3/4 of the way down the field. And it seems like
can scamper himself if he needs to.
Yeah, it just seems like there's nothing kind of beyond his reach when he's out there. Like, you feel like, okay, he's got this.
Yeah.
And it's just, can the other guys do their jobs?
Yeah, he was great as the Chiefs won it. Mahomes 23 of 35, 294, 3 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown, a 27-yard touchdown as well. 404 total yards of offense, 112 on the ground for the Kansas City Chiefs as they improved to 14-4 on the season. They're going to the Super Bowl, and afterwards Patrick Mahomes talked about the win.
Yeah, I don't know if it was necessarily just the Patriots game, just following just that close to the Super Bowl, which is your ultimate goal when you come into the offseason, and knowing all the work that we had put in and not getting to the game, giving ourselves an opportunity, it definitely gave me some motivation to go out there and just continue to get better and continue to progress in any way possible. And now we're going to put ourselves an opportunity now that we're going to have a chance of making a run at this thing, and we have a lot of momentum going into the playoffs. I've been blessed to be in a great situation with a lot of great football players and coaches around me. I think that's the biggest thing is from day one I've been accepted to go out there and be who I am, and my teammates, they've responded by being great every single day. And so for me, like I said, I've been put in a great situation, and I just try to maximize it every single day. Coach Reed does a good job of preparing us for this. I mean, we practice outside, we do everything in order to get the game-like feel. And whenever you're here practicing outside and it's cold during the week, it really prepares you for whenever you get to the game and you get cold weather there.
Coach Reed is back in the Super Bowl for the first time since 2004 when he went with the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost to the New England Patriots. Big win for him. Big for him to get back to the Super Bowl with this Kansas City team because a lot of pressure on him on what he does in the postseason.
But now I was thinking about this morning. Are we done questioning him?
I mean, he's in the Super Bowl now for the second time.
Yeah. Okay.
I never questioned Andy Reid. Like, you know how hard it is to make unless you're like Bill Belichick. It is really hard to make the Super Bowl. And so I look at it like, what do you do when you coach when you're the head coach of a team? And Andy Reid wins. The guy wins games. Like, bottom line, like, do you know how many teams and like fans, Lang, as a Falcons fan, me as dude, we have suffered. We have had bad, horrible seasons.
Oh, Niners, come on. Don't talk about suffering.
And when this guy is the head coach of your team, it doesn't matter whether he's had Donovan McNabb, whether he's had Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Kevin Cobb, Michael Vick, whoever it's been, dude, he wins games. He just wins games.
Yeah,
like,
but
Andy
he doesn't
Reid's
win.
one of the best coaches in the league.
Okay, but he has not won titles.
No, he has not won the Super Bowl.
It's like Mark Richt at Georgia. Like, you win a lot of games, but you're not going to win the championship.
Yeah, but
are you okay with that?
And very similar to Richt because a lot of times having the best record in the AFC.
Sure.
And this year, I think there was a lot of pressure on Reid last week because you're playing a 6-seeded wild card team.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have the best team and the best quarterback. You've got to win that game.
And he did.
And they did.
But, I mean, I don't know. I feel like at some point you have to decide, like, this is why Georgia got rid of Mark Richt. It's like, is it good enough just to win a bunch of games every year and not win a title? Or do you want to try to win the title?
Well, you're dealing with that again now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The other thing about Andy Reid is that he looks like the Kool-Aid guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's that gift that goes around of, like, the brick wall. He busts through it.
You think he'll bust through to start the Super Bowl?
Titans fall, and they finished the season 11-8. They led 10-0. They led 17-7. Ryan Tannehill threw for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. When he had to throw the ball 31 times, well, that's not Tennessee's game. They had to abandon the running game because they fell behind and had to start trying to play catch-up, and Derrick Henry just 69 yards, just 7 in the second half, had a touchdown, only 85 yards rushing for the Titans. Tannehill afterwards talking about the loss.
Personally, right now, it hurts pretty bad, and we're so close, a few plays away from being where we wanted to be, and today we just didn't make enough plays. I don't think they did a whole lot differently. They just came out and unfortunately they stopped us on a couple drives. We knew coming in that we're going to have to score points. Obviously, high-powered offense on the other side. Defense has done a great job all postseason for us, but we had a ton of respect for what this team could do on the offensive side of the ball. So knew coming in that we were going to have to score. I love this team. I love these guys. I love the way we competed this year. I love playing with them week in and week out, and it hurts. It hurts. You feel the pain across the locker room. Think how far we've come, and then to really come up short from what our end goal was. It hurts. It's sudden. It hurts. It's going to take a while to get over.
Sounds like it hurts.
It did hurt.
Does it hurt?
Yeah, it hurts a little. Without going through every single year and every team that's made it to the Super Bowl, this would have had to be the most unbelievable trek to a Super Bowl, first as a 6 seed, but to knock off the best team in the league, to knock off the superpower dynasty championship lore of the Patriots, and then to go into Arrowhead and knock off the Kansas City Chiefs would have been the best run you could ever have.
I feel like it ended correctly. Like, this is about as far as they should have gone.
Yeah.
And they should have gotten drilled by the Chiefs. And, when Steve Tannehill's your quarterback,
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, sorry. when Tannehill's the quarterback, I mean, that's, Derrick Henry's great and can carry you some ways, but they don't have the dynamic offense the Chiefs have.
Yeah.
It would have, and also the thing that would have made it so impressive is how they did it in a league that is become so pass happy and spreading everything out. They would have done it in an old school way, a mid-'90s way of just, we're going to line up and we're going to just run the ball on you to death and beat you down for 4 quarters and you can't stop it.
Like the 49ers.
Sounds like the NFC Championship game. San Francisco over Green Bay, 37-20. Jimmy Garoppolo. Get off Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, if anybody's got a problem with Jimmy, he only passed it 8 times. What? It worked. I mean, why would you throw the ball in that situation? It was amazing.
If you're running, like I told you, that Vikings game, we ran it 47 times. Our longest rush was 11 yards. But it really was. It was 4 to 6 yards every carry. If you're running the ball for 4 to 6 yards every carry in this NFC title game, like Mostert averaged like 7 yards a carry on the ground, you just keep giving it to them. Like, they could not stop it at all.
It's almost like Shanahan learned a lesson in Super Bowl 51.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I mean, his offensive line also wasn't committing holding penalties in this game either.
Well, and their defense is fantastic. I mean, Aaron Rodgers ended up putting up pretty decent numbers. 31 of 39, 326, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, but he was under pressure all day.
But even in the fourth quarter, when what was it, a 21-point game, and then the Packers get the ball, you had the whole fourth quarter. And, like, I know other Falcon fans, we were all watching that thing like, oh, boy, here we go again.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
But, Fish, you're right. They put pressure on him all day. He had the 2 picks. They sacked him 3 times. They forced him to fumble the ball twice. So they got after him.
Yeah, 3 turnovers for the Packers, 62 rushing yards. But it was a rushing game for the Niners, 285 rushing yards. Garoppolo just 6 of 8 for 77 yards because they ran the ball so well. Jimmy G, after the game, talking about the win and the journey here.
Yeah, I thought those guys, they came out from the first snap and they were ready to roll. I mean, they made a couple ankle tackles early, and you kind of saw the way the game was playing out, and Raheem just, he took off tonight. We were running the hell out of the ball tonight. It was, my life very easy back there, so I think we had like 8 pass attempts, so it was a fun night. With this defense, it's kind of a feast or famine defense, so it's, we got a couple big plays the first time we played them, and we thought we'd have those opportunities, but they wanted to, take those away and open up the running lane. So it's just kind of pick your poison type of thing. Throughout the entire year, guys would get hurt, other guys would, come in and plug themselves in, and we really wouldn't miss a beat. So it's just, that's the type of team we have. So, starting back with the ACL and everything, since then it's been crazy. It's been a crazy whirlwind of a ride, and it's no one else I'd rather be in a dogfight with than those guys in that locker room. It's a great group to be with. Everyone's pulling together. Everyone's tight with one another, and it's just a great group, man. It really is.
27-0 at the half, and it felt like it was over. I mean, it didn't feel like the Packers would be able to even sniff. It felt like the first time that these two teams met. The defense was being dominant. The offense was just moving the ball, just eating up the clock, and it was. It was perfect. The game plan was perfect. Packers, it just felt like there was no remedy for them to come back.
I just wanted it to be close in the fourth quarter. I was just please give us something here.
Yeah.
So I don't have to watch Funniest Home Videos.
Shark Tank. I was going straight to the Shark Tank. It was bad. I was with some Packers fans, and it was not pleasant early in that ball game. But a huge performance by the 49ers after a 4-12 season last year. They're now 15-3 this year. 3rd team in the Super Bowl after winning 4 or fewer games, as we mentioned earlier. The Bengals in '88 and the Rams in 1999. 7th Super Bowl appearance for the San Francisco 49ers, their first in 7 years. For the Packers, a 14-4 season, great year record-wise, but one of those teams that a lot of close wins and a team that you just still wondered how good really is this team. Well, they were close. Aaron Rodgers afterwards on the loss.
It's a little raw right now for sure, but it definitely hurts, I'd say, a little more than early in the career, just because you realize just how difficult it is to get to this spot. And with all the changes this offseason and with all the installation of a new system and a new program, to get to this point, you felt like it was something special because it just didn't really make sense. The way things went today was just kind of a microcosm of our season. The inefficiency caught up to us a few times and put us in rough spots. I think we're really close. I think we're just a little more consistent performance away from consistently playing with these guys. But, we got them at home, their place twice.
Also, our defense stinks. I mean, like you said, at halftime it was over.
Yeah.
And you felt like, okay, even as good as Aaron Rodgers is, it was going to take an all-time performance to get them back in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, their defense, it had been good at times, but there were, if you really went inside the numbers, the things that they struggle against are the things that Kyle Shanahan does, like the pre-snap motion stuff, which Shanahan does more than any other coach in the league, play action stuff. And Green Bay relies on those two, the Smith brothers, to get a pass rush. And when you only are throwing the ball 8 times, they're kind of just completely taken out of the ball game. Aaron Rodgers now, his last 6 playoff losses have come to teams that he also lost to in the regular season. Of course, Niners beat him 37-8 in Week 12. 2012 NFC Divisional against the Niners. 2013 Wild Card against San Francisco. 2014 NFC Championship at Seattle. 2015 Divisional at Arizona. And the 2016 NFC Championship at Atlanta. He lost to those in the playoffs and had previously also lost to them during the regular season.
Wow. San Francisco heading back to the Super Bowl. It'll be 2 teams that wear red. Kansas City and San Francisco in Super Bowl 54. We'll take a break here on the Odds Couple. When we come back, we'll head to Kansas City, talk a little bit about the Chiefs and getting to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. Soren Petro will join us on the other side here after this timeout on the Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
The professional bull riders are bucking at FedEx Forum for the first time in over 6 years. The world's toughest riders and rankest bulls invade Memphis on February 15th for a night of non-stop bone-crushing action and entertainment. Tickets start at $15. Get the best seats now at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com. Come watch the toughest sport on dirt. Don't miss history at the Professional Bull Riders Memphis Invitational.
Comedian, actor, and producer Nick Cannon is bringing his Nick Cannon Presents Wild 'N Out live tour to FedEx Forum on Thursday, March 26th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or the FedEx Forum box office. But it's FedExForum.com for more details.
The world-famous Harlem Globetrotters will bring their all-new show, Pushing the Limits, to FedEx Forum Saturday, February 1st. Don't miss your chance to experience hilarious hijinks and incredible basketball. The Harlem Globetrotters are a one-of-a-kind experience, putting a new spin on family time. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or the FedEx Forum box office.
For the first time in 25 years, the Doobie Brothers, Tom Johnston, Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, and John McPhee, 50th Anniversary Tour. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees, the Doobie Brothers, with special guest, Dirty Dozen Brass Band. FedEx Forum, Saturday, October 17th. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com. Welcome back to GrindCityMedia.com, live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Now, here's more of the Odds Couple, Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
It's time, Memphis. Join Jaren Jackson Jr., Kyle Anderson, and your Memphis Grizzlies this Sunday, January 26th at 5 p.m. as they play host to the Phoenix Suns, presented by Fox Sports Southeast. Fans will want to arrive early. The first 10,000 will receive a Grizzlies rally flag. Get Memphis and get your tickets today to see your next Gen Grizz by calling 901-888-HOOP or clicking online at grizzlies.com. All right. Brought to you by Fox Sports Southeast. You're welcome.
Jaren Jackson and Kyle Anderson.
Absolutely.
Kyle, saw him after the game last night. He was out on the court working on his jumper after
working on his free throws.
All right, good. Super Bowl 54 is set. Kansas City, San Francisco. Andy Reid back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 2004 when he went with Philadelphia. Coach Reid, proud of his team.
I'm proud of our team for the effort that they showed today. Never die is kind of their thing. I mean, it's getting behind like this, tough on an old guy, but they did a nice job coming back and fired up to go to Miami. Need to get on a diet so I can fit in my clothes so we can go do our thing. But very proud of everybody. And I said it. I'm excited for the Hunt family and the players that have worked their tail off. I mean, the coaches. I mean, there's just so much effort that went into this. Coaches that were here before, helped us get to this point. So, it takes an army. It's not one guy at all. So I just appreciate the effort by everybody. then our fans. I can't wait to get all of them down to Miami. So I hope Miami's ready for that.
You know, Andy Reid's going to be wearing the heck out of some Hawaiian shirts for the next 2 weeks.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. On the beach. Joining us now to talk a little Chiefs, he is the host of the program on WHB Sports Radio in Kansas City. He's on Twitter at Soren Petro. Soren Petro joins us here on The Odds Couple. Hello, Soren.
Hello, guys. And by the way, love me some Terrence Jackson. He's on my fantasy team. So keep the threes and block shots coming.
Absolutely. We'll let him know for sure. Soren, we've talked in the past a lot about this Chiefs team and getting here and just hearing from Andy Reid. How big for Andy Reid to get back to the Super Bowl?
I think giant. Listen, you can tell how big it is for the team, how much Andy Reid means to them, because that's become one of the rallying cries is to win the Super Bowl for Andy Reid. I mean, this team has heard the criticism that he endures around the league, nationally, as a guy who doesn't understand the clock, can't win playoff games. Never mind the fact that, he's played and I think coached in the fifth most playoff games ever. He's won 14 playoff games. But he hasn't gotten over that hump and he hasn't won the championship. And so they hear that criticism and they also, go to work with him, go to war with him and understand how good he is at setting them up to be successful. And I think that's what, any player will tell you. What they want from a coach is for them to put them in a position where they can really showcase their talents. And Andy Reid does that on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, he hires a guy that he thinks is good, lets them do their job, and treats everybody like men. And, sometimes it's considered a loose ship, and sometimes there are problems. But I think every player respects that he's not over them with a ton of rules and, just allows them to be men and expects them to do their jobs. So, everyone in that organization wants this Super Bowl for Andy Reid. And I think you'll have a moment if they do win it, much like when Pat Bowlen held up that first Super Bowl trophy that the Broncos won and said, this one's for John. There's going to be a moment like that where it's, this one's for Andy if they can get it done.
Has the criticism been fair?
I think it's fair to a point, right? I think we live in a mob mentality society now where somebody says, well, Andy Reid hasn't gotten over the hump, and the next guy can't just repeat that. He's got to take it another step. So it's Andy Reid can't get it done in clock management situations. The next guy makes it, he can't win playoff games. The next guy makes it, he's an idiot. The next guy says he's the worst coach that's ever lived. And so it builds and builds and builds. It's accurate. He has not won a championship. But I think, what people don't do is take the time to say, okay, why? Is it just Andy Reid? We know it's not. He's the most important factor outside of the quarterback for winning a championship. But after that, you need a general manager. You need all the other talent. You need to be relatively healthy in a season to get there, something the Chiefs weren't early this year but have become later. But I think when you dive down, what I tell people, and I've said a million times over the last couple of weeks, is I think 5 or 6 years from now, 10 years from now, whenever Andy Reid's career is over, it's going to be remembered as BP and AP, before Patrick and after Patrick. You know me, Rob. I went to Syracuse, so I love me some Donovan McNabb, but Donovan McNabb's career was a product of Andy Reid. I think he showed that he's a decent quarterback to maybe even bad. When he left Philadelphia, he fell off a cliff, and he went to play for Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan with the Washington Redskins, and he fell off a cliff, and everyone wants to say, well, he was old. He was 33. He wasn't 39. He wasn't 40. He was 33 years old, and yet when he left Andy Reid, suddenly his career fell apart, and he was out of the league 2 years later. Alex Smith is a good quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, one that's targeting the Hall of Fame right now with the way he's playing. And you watch, nobody talks about Andy Reid's clock management last year when they trailed by 3 with 32 seconds to go in the AFC Championship game, and they went down and got a chip shot field goal. Nobody mentioned that. Nobody mentions Andy Reid's clock management coming down the stretch in this game against the Tennessee Titans where they're trailing, and he gets them down the field in a minute 51 and scores a touchdown. Those things don't get brought up. They go back to, when he was down 14 with Donovan McNabb, he didn't score fast enough. When he was down 14 with Alex Smith in 2015 in New England, he didn't score fast enough. Yeah, it's because he had McNabb and Alex Smith, and he didn't have his Patrick Mahomes. Every great coach, every Hall of Fame coach, save Joe Gibbs, has their bust from riding one Hall of Fame quarterback, and he's finally got his Hall of Fame quarterback. And I think the view of Andy Reid and how we break down his play will be very different here very soon.
How has the electricity in the city been for this team to get back to a Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years? Diehard Chiefs fans, and it's been a lot of disappointment, a lot of great years, but never getting to this point to finally get back. What's it been like the last couple of days?
You know, it's been a little bit surreal. I don't think it's all really soaked in. I will tell you, though, the amount of calls from people like, where do you go in Miami? I'm going down. Where do I get tickets? You know, everybody has decided they're going in, and it's made the Super Bowl tickets. Right now, we're being told it's $5,000 just to get in the door, so it's one of the hotter Super Bowl tickets you've had in a long time. And you know, it reminds me of when the Royals made the World Series in 2014. It had been, about 30 years since they had gone, and everybody felt like, well, we better go, whatever it takes. We got to go because this may be the only time they go in my lifetime. It's been 50 years since the Chiefs have been there. Now, I think the future is much brighter for the Chiefs because when you have the quarterback, you really solve the riddle of how to get multiple opportunities at a championship. And baseball just doesn't work that way. But fans are not treating it that way. They're treating it as there's never been a Super Bowl in my lifetime, or I was 5, or I was 8, and so I am going. So everyone's decided they're going, but I don't think they really comprehend exactly what all is happening. But I think that will soak in over the next couple of weeks.
Soren, Patrick Mahomes, certainly a special player. We were talking about him a little earlier in the show, and it seems to me the thing that stands out the most to me is at his young age how much of a leader and just he's the guy. He's in control of this entire football team, and that's impressive for a young fellow.
He is the guy that checks every box off the field as well, right? You see everything he does on the field, and it's staggering. The way he can make plays with his legs. Nobody has the kind of arm that he has, the velocity. And I think what people are now understanding as well is the touch that he can throw the ball with as well. You know, everything's not just a rocket. He has some great touch passes on second moves where he just hangs it up there and lets guys run under it. But when he needs to bring the heat, nobody can bring it like he can. And then I think his intelligence. I think people are starting to understand how smart the guy is, that he doesn't make mistakes. You know, that was the word on him was that, well, he's a gunslinger because they saw him throwing off balance and all these weird angles at Texas Tech because he had to, because he was usually playing with an inferior team around him. And they thought he was just going to be this wild guy like Brett Favre and come in and have all these turnovers. And that hasn't been the case. He makes all the plays. He can make all those throws. And Andy Reid really credits the fact that he played a lot more baseball early in his life than he did football, and a lot of shortstop and making those off-balance throws that he really learned to be in tune with his body and understand what he had to do with his arm when his body was falling away from where the throw was, or throwing against himself, running towards second and happened to fire to first base. That all those things have come together, and then he's a guy that's a football junkie. He is the first guy in, last guy out. He's in there on the off days, doing everything he can, and I think that's why he has that respect. One, he can play. Nobody can be a leader sucking, right? You've got to be able to ball, and he can flat-out ball. But he also outworks everybody. They know that. They respect it. And he's also there for everybody. And he never, ever throws a teammate under the bus. You know, he's had opportunities. And maybe even opportunities where when we went through all the Tyreek Hill stuff this past off season, you know, it would have been really easy for him to just distance himself from Tyreek Hill. He didn't go out of his way to make comments. But when he was in a position to where he was asked about it, he always stood up for his teammate. And I think they all recognize that, and they all respect the fact that even though he's the best player on the team, the most important player on the field, maybe the most important player in the entire National Football League, he's just one of the guys when he's in that locker room.
Your first impressions of the matchup with the 49ers?
So I think the spread's right. You know, 1 point either way, I wouldn't complain if the Niners were a slight favorite. I think it's, you know, the highlight is their defense, Niners defense against the Chiefs offense. The reality might be Chiefs defense against Niners offense is where this game is won. You know, there's a lot of confidence in the defense, what they did over the last 6 weeks. You know, fixing the rush defense where they're giving up less than 100 a game on the ground. They held Derrick Henry to under 70 yards in this past game. That's something that they've really fixed. There's still some apprehension. You know, you could say, well, it was Ryan Tannehill. Well, the Texans defense couldn't stop anybody, and they started having to chase a big number with their offense, so maybe they're not that good. A lot of the teams they beat up on in the last 6, Chargers a couple of times, Raiders, the Patriots, how good is Tom Brady? How good were the Pats coming down the stretch? I think there's still a little apprehension. You know, the part of the game that I think, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, that I go look back is the game the Chiefs lost to the Packers. Now, they lost it without Patrick Mahomes, and that's a key ingredient. But what they did was get their running backs out into the backfield. 133 yards receiving for Aaron Jones, a couple of touchdowns, catching the football. That was really something that the Chiefs have been susceptible to the last couple of years, and they don't have the best linebackers. They're not the most athletic. And so that's, to me, I don't think there's going to be a 200-yard rushing day for the Niners, even though that's what they've been piling up on everybody in this playoffs. But I do worry about their ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. That's maybe the one Achilles heel that the Chiefs still have on that defense. But, I think they're going to be able to pressure the quarterback. They're going to get their share of stops against the run. And I think offensively, if the Chiefs have their kind of day, that puts a lot of pressure on the opposing team. Titans only gave it to Derrick Henry 3 times in the second half because they started seeing the game slip away from them, and you can kind of get a team out of their game plan. 2 quarterbacks, line them up in the playoffs. Who's got the better quarterback? That's the team that's usually going to win. It's going to be a lot of years before I look at that matchup and say the Chiefs don't have the better quarterback. So what the hell, right? I'm a lifelong Chiefs fan. I'll take the Chiefs to win it. I'll take them by 7.
You'll have a different experience at the Super Bowl this year than you do most years, I guess, huh?
It will be quite different, right? Yeah, I've been down there a lot of times. Done a lot of conversations with friends in other markets about when the Chiefs time will be or what they're going to do. It'll be very different to be down there talking actually about our team and maybe spend less time promoting pork rinds and avocados with some player that played 30 years ago.
Exactly. But you're going to be asked to be a guest a lot, too, so enjoy that.
Yeah, good times. Good times to wait, my friend.
Soren, enjoy next week in Miami. Should be a lot of fun. We appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Hey, always my pleasure, Rob. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, buddy. Soren Petro joining us, WHB in Kansas City, host of the program.
Pork rinds and avocados.
Man, I'm telling you, Super Bowl week, and I went to 10 Super Bowls, and it's one of the great weeks of radio because it's just unlike any other week during the year. I mean, you're talking to Hall of Famers, but yeah, it's like Jerry Rice joins us. Jerry, tell us about the avocados. Yeah. It's like, this is so bizarre, but Jerry Rice, 49ers guy.
Great.
One of the great interviews. He had come out with a book, the big, huge book. It's just Rice.
Yeah.
It's really a picture book of his career and everything, and it was really well done. It's awesome.
A lot of pictures.
A lot of pictures.
Called Rice?
It's called Rice.
Just called Rice.
Just Rice. And had a chance to interview Jerry, and he was, the perfect gentleman. He's an unbelievable dude.
Sure.
He was awesome, and it was in a private room that they had us come into this room to interview him. And when the interview was over, we thanked him and shook his hand and got up and started walking out of the room. And Jerry Rice goes, hey, you guys want me to sign your book for you? And we're like, sure, sure, why not? So got the Rice book signed by the man Jerry Rice, which is pretty cool. But he was awesome.
Unfortunately, I went to Super Bowl 51 in Houston.
That was a tough one for you.
Yeah. But I remember we went to the official tailgate that day, earlier in the day. It starts because the game's at like 9 p.m. or something, and the tailgate starts at like 10 a.m. or whatever. I was a guest of Pepsi, I believe it was. No, Budweiser, who was one of the official sponsors. And at the tailgate thing, we're sitting there, and I turned around, and Willie Roaf sitting at a table just next to me, hanging out. I was like, Hall of Famer, right? Like, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You just bump into these people all over the place at the Super Bowl. It's pretty cool.
And it's the week that they all wear their rings. If they got Super Bowl rings, they're wearing them that week.
I thought about that the other day. Like, if the Grizzlies ever win and we get rings, I'm wearing that thing every day.
Every single
the rest
day.
of my life. I'm going to be like the Heat announcer.
The Heat guys. They wear them every day.
I'm going to wear that ring every day the rest of my life.
Dude, I got an indoor soccer championship ring, and I wear that a lot.
I'd wear it right now.
I don't wear it every day. It's not as big and blingy as the ones that we see now. People will be like, oh, that's a nice ring. Where'd you go to school?
Middle school?
Yeah, it's not as good. All right, we'll take a break here on The Odds Couple. We come back. Chris Vernon's going to join us, get his early thoughts on Super Bowl 54. That's next here on The Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
The voice, the hits, the tour. The wait is over. Celine Dion, Courage, World Tour. February 9th, FedEx Forum. The first North American tour in over a decade. Reserve seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Celine Dion. Produced by Concerts West. Get tickets now. Having sold more than 100 million records worldwide, the iconic Cher returns. Here We Go Again Tour 2020, performing hits spanning her entire career. FedEx Forum, March 16th. Featuring special guests Nile Rodgers and Chic. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit share.com.
Art, sound, and sensory overload. Tool Live. Friday, January 31st, FedEx Forum. The new album, Fear Inoculum, out now. Tool. Get your tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Tool, presented by Live Nation.
Welcome back to the Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Here's the Odds Couple, Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
The Grizzlies and Pinnacle Financial Partners are looking to grow local Memphis businesses with the GrizzBiz Challenge. From soap to beer to financial services and everything in between, businesses looking to grow can pitch their business plans to our panel of select judges. The winner will be awarded a 6-figure partnership with the Grizzlies, courtesy of Pinnacle Financial Partners. Visit grizzlies.com/GrizzBizChallenge for more info and to apply before the January 24th deadline.
I want to be one of those judges.
GrizzBizzer?
Yeah.
All right. I think you
Be
should
like
be.
Shark Tank, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be fun. Let's do that. Let's get involved on that. Welcome back to the show. Super Bowl 54 is set, and what a week it was for Raheem Mostert. If you didn't follow the 49ers all year, you wondered who he was. A lot of teams have wondered who he was. He had 8 carries in his first 3 years of his career, was cut 7 times.
I bet John Roser knew all about him.
He did. He told me before the show today. 220 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns in the NFC Championship over the Packers, and afterwards he talked about this journey to get here.
I did have a lot of doubters and naysayers, and now I get to actually tell them, hey, look where I'm at now. I never gave up on my dream. I never gave up on the opportunities when it presented itself, and I always worked hard, no matter what. And it's crazy that I've been on 7 different teams. I actually still have, the cut dates, and I look at that every before every game. I look at the cut dates when I got cut. Been on, like I said, been on 7 different teams, and the journey has been crazy. Not everybody can deal with that type of stress and pain and agony that I went through. But like I said, I kept the faith in not only myself, but whoever gave me the opportunity, and this organization has done a great job with that.
Pretty impressive. Chris Vernon from the Chris Vernon Show here on Grind City Media joins us. How are you, man?
I'm good. It's brighter over here.
Yeah.
I'm always over there. Very bright.
Usually in the dark.
What could you have told me about Raheem Mostert last week?
I could have told you that I've gotten texts the entire season, and most of them have been. My response has been, who the F is that? Right. And this started probably week 1.
Yeah.
And so about, every couple of weeks on our group text with me and Roser and Devin, we'll get a Raheem, or we'll get a Mostert. Or who are you talking about? Like, this game isn't even on TV. Like, right. Unless you got Sunday ticket, you don't even see this team. It's
like week 2 against the Bengals,
right? And why are you not watching the Cowboys or the Patriots or whatever game's going on that the whole world is watching? And so we would get these random texts here and there. But I was just listening to that sound clip before it came on. His story is absolutely crazy. I mean, I saw yesterday, I was reading an article that said he had 25% of his yards that he ever ran for at Purdue. So forget about the fact that he's been cut by 7 NFL teams. He wasn't even like a big college player.
Yeah.
He had 700 yards in his career at Purdue. Wow. And then what did you just say? He had
220 and 4 touchdowns.
No. Oh. Going into the first 3 years of his career,
he had 8 carries.
8 carries in 3 years. And now this guy is like on that list. Like every time somebody has a huge rushing record in the playoffs, they're going to have to like
they're chasing Raheem Mostert and Eric Dickerson. Like, did you see the names that they put up there? William, my son, he asked me, I said, my God. I said, that's the second most anybody's ever run for in a playoff game. He said, who was number one? Because he missed it. And I said, Eric Dickerson. He's like, oh, okay. I mean, like, Raheem Mostert, like, you do wonder, is this just – who was the guy for the Redskins? Timmy Smith?
Yeah.
You remember in the Super Bowl? And it was like, what?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, who knows? I mean, look, he can't have that long of a career. He's already old.
Right.
Right, for a running back.
You've covered a Super Bowl before.
Yep.
We went together, and
That's right.
and that's going to be one of the stories of next week. Who is this guy? And his career story is going to be a big one that's talked about.
That will be a big one. There will also be, this is one of those teams where, frankly, for both teams, how much do you know about Mahomes, right? But I would tell you this. I could probably walk around. Kelsey's one of the biggest names in the NFL, certainly because of, if nothing else, fantasy football.
Right.
I bet you 95% of all football fans have no idea where he went to college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's a backstory on a lot of these guys. I was watching something yesterday. They were showing Mahomes clips from high school where he came back and won a game at the very end of the game. And you see, like, these guys, like, that's the stuff I like. I like all of the family stuff, the where did this guy come from. But how are you going to be able to compete with that Mostert story?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
It's crazy.
You like the matchup? What do you think of first?
I think that the games this past weekend, I had said going in, it felt like that got less talk than any championship weekend I can ever remember, and I pulled just for out randomly on Thursday, and I went through every ESPN headline and then like all their front page stories, and there wasn't anything on either of the games. Okay, now these are the games that are going to decide the Super Bowl, and I don't know if that's just because of the matchups that they had. Maybe there was a little resent involved. Like you feel like if it would have been the Chiefs and the Ravens, it would have dominated conversation. Sure. And yet it was NBA stuff and everything else. And really the Astros kind of took over last week. But there was so much less talk. And then I watched the games on Sunday, and I realized why there was so little talk, because those games were terrible.
Yeah, they're boring.
Both of them. I mean, in fairness, look, I told Roser, I said, look, I saw 49ers Packers. Like, unless they're unless they're changing the 53 guys, I find it pretty hard to believe that the Packers are going to be able to go into their hometown and win. But the other one, look, we all wanted to see Mahomes versus Lamar. I still want to see Mahomes versus Lamar. And I said yesterday that really felt a lot like the Titans run. It felt a lot like the Grizzlies back in the day, right? Team that does it different, team that's grinding you down. They knocked off the Patriots. And then when you get to that, that last game, you're like, like most people probably rather see the Warriors win, right? Like that was fun, but like I don't want to see them win. Right. You know what I mean? Like that was all cool story, but like I don't want to see the Titans, knocking off Mahomes. He's the fun thing going on. I do think that while we had two crap games, both those teams might have still won. I think the Super Bowl is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I do. I think it's great. I do. I love the fact that it pops out at like a 1.5 line. Mm-hmm. I love that it comes out immediately. The first bet when Vegas opened up the line, I think it was like 52.5 on the over-under, and a guy went straight up and put $100,000 on it, right? I mean, immediately put $100,000 on the over, right? And I think that there's a lot of people that will probably take the over, so that's good. So I think you're going to get high scoring. I don't think this is going to be some kind of a bloodbath. And Mahomes versus that, Bosa, Quan Alexander, that defense, Richard Sherman. I mean, that defense, the Packers couldn't even get a first down in the first quarter. When they're locked in, they're awesome, but Mahomes is the guy that keeps plays alive. So I love it. I love an awesome, fun quarterback, and it's good for the NFL to have. It's the first time in, what did I read, 2 decades? I'm serious. That we did not have Brady, Manning, or Roethlisberger in the AFC Championship game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so while we have always tried to like, oh, he's the cool new thing. He's the cool new thing. He's the cool. Still the same dudes for the most part.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson broke in there. He got there a couple times. But for the most part, in terms of like promoting big stars, and there's no question, if he doesn't get injured this year, I mean, he threw 50 touchdowns last year, this year, uninjured, once he's finally come back after a couple of weeks, the dislocated kneecap or whatever it was, he's been awesome. And you soon forget, Lamar became talk of the town this year. We were all on Mahomes last year.
Yeah.
And so now you fast forward a year. He's such a, like, he's so fun to watch, man. He is so fun to watch.
Special player.
I mean, Roser loves watching him.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody loves watching Mahomes more than Roser. Just dance around, keep a play going, throw a bomb to Tyreek Hill over Richard Sherman's head.
Yeah, he is. Lamar did become the talk this year, and I think what we have continued to realize is that Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Like, there's nobody like him.
Yeah.
He is by far the best quarterback in the league, and probably the one guy in the league where you could say no lead is safe against him. We saw that.
That's true.
Freaking Texans are up 24-0, and like, he erases it in a single quarter.
Cool coach stories, too.
Yeah.
Because you got the son, the guy that was, they won 4 games last year. And what, you don't like him? You don't like Kyle?
Super Bowl 51.
He didn't do well for the Falcons in this.
He's been there before.
Yeah, no, your problem after that was you let Shanahan go and you kept Dan Quinn.
Yeah, it's not like things have gotten better since he left.
You should have fired Dan Quinn and hired Shanahan to be your coach.
Look, trust me. You're talking to a guy that would love to complain about a Super Bowl loss. I'd give anything to complain about a Super Bowl loss. You had to get there first, right? Hey, by the way, he turned Matt Ryan into the damn MVP of the league.
Yeah.
I mean, he should get a bust in Canton just for that. But you got him, and he's got the the whole father-son thing. And then the other side, Andy Reid. He is the consummate.
Yep.
Oh, we don't think he's that good, but like you get to that mountaintop and you get that Super Bowl. He's your A-Rod, doesn't get it done until he gets it done. Mickelson doesn't get it done until he gets it done.
He's a guy who could never get it done. He wins this one. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's great.
He is anyway.
Probably is.
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, he's great. Well, I mean, it wasn't his fault. His quarterback started barfing on the field from nervousness. Right. What are you supposed to do? I mean, you guys barfing.
Get him some Pepto.
I mean, you guys barfing in the huddle. I mean,
Meanwhile, you're like star wide receivers playing on a broken leg and like killing everybody. The game wasn't too big for him, but your quarterback's puking.
No, but there's always these guys in all of sports, right? And they are the great players or they are the great coaches, but they'll never get the complete validation if they don't win one, right? Yeah. And so he gets another crack at that. Either way, the coaching stories are good. I like both of these teams, honestly. I have liked watching both of them this year. I kind of sneaky root for the 49ers to do well just so Roser's happy. And then or I want him either to do really well so he's like real pompous, arrogant Roser,
right?
Or I want him to like crushing overtime loss to the Seahawks, so he's
you mean like Richard Sherman tipping the ball against Kaepernick in the NFC Championship game, breaking my heart.
I don't need these, like, as you would say, professional wins.
No.
You know what I mean? Like when they beat the Redskins 10-0. It's like how boring. I want either total elation or heartbreak because of what it causes for him.
So that's what he's going to get in 2 weeks.
I don't know. Did you guys have a strong opinion immediately when you knew who the two teams were?
No, just because it's that offense against the defense.
That's what makes it great, though, right?
That makes that matchup great. And I think what Soren Petro was telling us a little earlier, look at the other matchup. San Francisco's offense against Kansas City's defense. That's probably the one you're really going to have to look at that might decide the game.
Is he still a huge deal in Kansas City?
Yeah.
After all these years, look at Soren Petro.
Yeah, he's
been
to
there
Miami
since, at least 20 years.
Yeah.
I just want a good game. An entertaining. I don't care who wins. I really don't care either way. I just want it to be entertaining and close.
I think it's going to be a great game, and it's going to come down to the final.
We got a regular Rob Lowe here.
Rob Lowe, where your NFL?
That's a jacket.
I just want a great game.
I don't care who wins. Yeah, I'm going to get you an NFL hat.
He's got the jacket on. We talked about it earlier.
Look at him. Where did you get that?
It was
what flea market?
It was bought for me when I moved to Memphis.
Tell them why. What they used to call you.
Because in St. Louis, I was known as Dr. Football.
Oh, no.
How have we been doing a football show all year, and we're just now hearing about this at the end of the season?
We found out about half an hour ago you used to be known as Dr. Football.
There is a 0% chance he did not give himself that name.
No, it's not the great Jack Snow gave me my nickname, Dr. Football. Yeah, it was Jack Snow.
Kimball, next week when we do this intro to the show, it doesn't need to say Rob Fisher. His lower third needs to say Dr. Football.
And so
I have a clock at home that's a little football that says Dr. Football.
Oh
on
my
it.
God!
Yeah. Boy, little you guys knew
Why
about
didn't you
me.
keep that going?
Why
You
don't you-
abandoned
why-
it.
You have it at home.
Because you
Why
didn't
isn't
want
it here?
you didn't want to set foot in Memphis and be like,
I'm
hey,
Dr. Football.
hey,
Tony
everybody.
Barnhart, take a back seat, buddy.
Hey, look, I know a lot of you don't know me, but I'm Dr. Football.
Dr. Football.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just what people have been calling me. Call me Dr. Football.
Sorry.
Hey, I bet you guys people called you that like without humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Football. Did you like that? Like,
Yeah, it was. I
What do you
didn't- I
think,
didn't
Doc?
like it.
Yeah,
I
did
didn't
people
like
just start calling you Doc?
it. No, it was Dr. Football.
What's up, Doc?
Yeah,
Did you wear a stethoscope with a football on it?
It was on the promos. Yeah.
I bet you had a white. Did you have a white coat?
Yeah,
The-
with
the
all the
doc-
logos on it too.
Or one of those,
Who bought you that?
My dear friends that I worked with, they all
They're
chipped
not.
in and got it.
You don't talk to any of them anymore, do
No,
you?
hell no. I think this is the
After
first
the
time I've
jacket.
put it on. 18 years I've had it. I was buttoning it today. Buttons are all still nice. Everything still looks good. Yeah.
That is outrageous.
There might not even be a couple teams on here. I don't know. Heck, Panthers.
The Jaguars
oh, there they are.
probably.
Panthers
Yeah.
are still here.
Just an outrageous jacket.
Yeah. it's
Welcome
good.
to the doctor's
Got the
office.
Chiefs here. Niners here. Ready for the Super Bowl.
Let's
Vernon,
go.
thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. Football. I'm so graced to be in your presence.
You got an appointment at the doctor's office.
I didn't even know.
You too.
When you're feeling sick after a bad loss, just go talk to Dr.
Call
Football.
Dr. Football. I guess I got to change my
Does that
Twitter
make?
now.
Are
too.
me and Rose are the nurses now?
Yeah, Nurse Football.
Whitaker.
Yeah.
Nurse Roser.
Nurse Whitaker and Nurse Roser.
That's going to do it for us here on the Odds Couple this week. Next week, we'll be breaking down Super Bowl 44. Lang Whitaker, Dr. Football. All over Super Bowl 54 next week. Thank you, Kimball. Thank you, Roser. Thanks, Verno. Thanks to Soren Petro for joining us as well. For Lang, I'm Fish. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the Pro Bowl this week. I don't have any trends on the Pro Bowl. It's going to be really high scoring. That's all I got. Take the over.
New onside kickoff experiments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know this. There will be no 49ers or Chiefs players participating
That's right.
in it.
So why watch? Yeah. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you next week in preparation of the Super Bowl.
You've been listening to The Odds Couple from the American Home Shield Studio on GrindCityMedia.com. Tune in next week for more football handicapping with Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.